Potential destinations for Fred VanVleet have been talked about a bunch over the course of this offseason, but in the last 24 hours, it seems more likely than ever that the Houston Rockets could end up landing Fred VanVleet. So we'll break down all the latest reports on that front. Additionally, we have a major report regarding OG Anunoby, and all the latest in terms of how the Raptors are approaching potential trades come this offseason regarding their top stars. So lots of stuff to break down. Without further ado, let's jump on the first topic of discussion. And the first thing we're taking a look at is VanVleet to the Rockets is looking more likely than ever. Now, as mentioned in the intro, there's been a lot of teams, there are a lot of squads looking to acquire Fred VanVleet, being linked to VanVleet's name, across the NBA. It seems like every second video, it's either the Orlando Magic, the Houston Rockets, the LA Lakers, the Suns before they acquire Bradley Beal, heck, even the Toronto Raptors potentially landing Fred VanVleet back. And in our most recent video, we even discussed how the Houston Rockets are targeting our two top free agents in Fred and Jakob Poeltl, and Bill Simmons saying that he predicts Fred VanVleet going to the Rockets. So, that was just that was yesterday's news, stuff going on. In the last 24 hours, things have heated up even more. So a report has come out from Mark Stein, essentially saying that league sources say that Toronto's Fred VanVleet and Memphis Grizzlies' Dillon Brooks are at the top of the Rockets' wish list, as they widely thought to be headlined by former Rockets All-Star James Harden. Sources say the Raptors realize it will likely require an annual salary of at least $30 million and possibly higher to secure Fred VanVleet's return, and the Rockets, provided that they miss out on James Harden, are said to be ready to go to such lengths to sign any one of the last encore connections to the Toronto Raptors title-winning team in 2018-2019 season. So referring to Fred VanVleet there, which is pretty interesting. It seems to be aligned with a lot of the stuff that's coming out regarding Fred VanVleet. Even the Bill Simmons report saying that Fred's likely to sign a $140 million contract with the Houston Rockets. So that's interesting there. And I've heard a lot of Raptors fans. I've seen you guys in the comment section. The chatter seems to be if it's over $30 million, no one wants him back at all. I'm, again, always getting roasted by you guys for supporting Fred VanVleet as a player, thinking he's not absolute garbage. But again, you're throwing that type of money out there. They have to be, at least have the potential to become a number one option on your team. And number two option, a guy that can be a 1A or 1B or 1C, to a maybe not championship level team, but a team that's making a deep run in the playoffs. And there's no guarantees. I don't think that Fred VanVleet, that's the case with him. He's had command of the roster since we traded away Kyle Lowry a few seasons ago. And 2 seasons we didn't really, I guess Kyle Lowry was still in the roster when we had three seasons, the post, the Marcus Gasol, Serge Ibaka era. But the team flamed out of the playoffs, missed the playoffs twice, then had a very poor showing during that Sixers series. At least when Fred VanVleet was playing, they actually did better. He was dealing with injuries, so I don't want to dive into any of that. But basically, Fred VanVleet hasn't proven he can be that 1A, 1B on a very competitive team just yet. So, despite all the positives he brings to the table, a lot of Raptors fans don't want to see him back. And at that type of money, it could be ridiculous. And there was a response from a Houston podcaster, sort of reporter there on that front. Not sure how locked in insider or how many scoops he actually has, but he basically said, don't be surprised that the Rockets offer Fred VanVleet a 2-year, $35 million contract per year. Again, no idea if this is a super credible insight from that Houston Rockets podcast reporter, but I thought it was interesting just to sort of discuss because Toronto Raptors seem like they're going to be running it back. It seems like they're going to be bringing back the group, definitely with Pascal, definitely Gary Trent Jr. We'll see what happens with Jakob Poeltl at this point. OG Anunoby's on another 1-year left deal. He's a player option going into next season. But Fred VanVleet, long-term money, that's very risky, especially in most recent seasons. His defense especially has slowed down to a certain extent. So sure, you pay him his money and take that Kyle Lowry approach where, hey, there were moments where Kyle Lowry was like, should we be giving him a 5-year max contract extension? Yet this type of money, the Raptors couldn't get over LeBronto. Things were messy. Kyle Lowry, DeMar, they're being called the trash bros by the media. Should we be giving him his money? And Masai always opted to go for like a 2 to 3 year type of contract extension, type of signing, even a 1-year contract extension for Kyle Lowry in his final season with the Toronto Raptors. So maybe the shorter term deals at lucrative amounts of money for Fred VanVleet could be a route to go, but $35 million per year would be a lot of bread, and handcuffing you over the course of, shorter term seasons, but longer term might save you that flexibility, and especially where you have a lot of guys with unknown free agent status coming up. So, that's something the Raptors could definitely look into. But one part of this that makes it seem even more likely that Fred VanVleet could potentially be going to the Houston Rockets is comments from head coach of the Houston Rockets, Ime Udoka, when asked about the number one priority in free agents, the types of players they're looking for on the Houston Rockets team. Basically said that regardless of position or any of those specific things or needs, they want professionals and mature adults in the room. We have a young team, so you want to find that right balance. So it's the right type of veterans that will lift the level of the team. So guys that have had success on this level, played in championships, played in high-level situations, I think it only raises the bar for this team. Basically, when given even that massive list of guys we saw thrown out there in yesterday's video that the Houston Rockets are targeting, Fred VanVleet, at least his reputation across the NBA, I know there's a lot of criticisms about his leadership, inside the Toronto Raptors, at least this most recent season, but he's a guy that's played in championships, played in high-level moments, succeeded in those areas, is regarded as a leader for the Toronto Raptors by all the insiders, all the reporters, the people that are around the team. So regardless of what Raptors fans say about him or not, but that seems to be an apt description of a Fred VanVleet that the Houston Rockets are sort of targeting. So that makes it seem like, given all the other smoke that's been going around, it's maybe not a sure thing, but it's very, very much looking like it's going to happen. Fred VanVleet going to the Houston Rockets. But let me know what you guys think. Am I reading the tea leaves too much? Is it too much crazy stuff going on? Let me know in the comment section below. But next thing we're taking a look at is a major OG Anunoby news update, as basically I don't want to say a shadow over the franchise, but one thing that's always factored in to OG Anunoby rumors, OG Anunoby discussions, it's brought up on every comment section, Twitter thread, Reddit thread that's going on, saying when OG's mentioning trade rumors, when there's stuff going on, it's Clutch. It's Clutch Sports, LeBron's agencies, sort of trying to do something in the back scenes, shake some controversy, control the narrative to get their guys more money, to be happy with whatever situations are going on. And Raptors don't seem to leak a lot of information to Clutch, so there seems to be a little tension there with OG Anunoby's at least previous agent and which is Clutch Sports and the Toronto Raptors. But now it seems like that might be over, as news has come out today, basically that the Toronto Raptors' OG Anunoby is changing representation, according to Mark Stein. Stein reported that the 6'7" forward is moving on from Rich Paul-owned Clutch Sports. Omar Wilkes was his agent with Clutch. The decision comes as OG Anunoby has been the subject of regular trade speculation. He is due to earn $18.6 million for this upcoming season as a $20 million player option for 2024-2025. The 25-year-old averaged 17 points per game, an NBA high, 2 steals per night. And it's just an elite 3-and-D type of player. We all know who OG Anunoby is as a basketball player. But basically, this is a lot of Toronto Raptors fans fairly excited because, one, Clutch Sports, especially if Fred leaves as well, they're kind of out of the mix there with the Toronto Raptors. Obviously, you still have to deal with pretty well every agent in the entire NBA, but that's two key players where you don't have to deal with Clutch Sports at this point. And if OG Anunoby's looking to negotiate a larger extension, even back at the time when he signed the one he was currently on, I thought that was an absolute steal for the Toronto Raptors. I'm surprised he didn't get more out there in the open market. But it seems like OG Anunoby doing it this early, not waiting for the year he becomes a free agent or something like that. Doing it this early indicates to me that there's definitely going to be some extension talks in the works. And given Masai Ujiri and OG Anunoby's close relationship, at least reported relationship, new agent, all the stuff that's been going on, the fact that OG hasn't really, the asking price for him out there on the open market, it seems to be extremely high according to other teams. Don't be surprised if OG Anunoby's back on this team with a new agent negotiating a contract extension for the long term. So that's exciting news there for the Toronto Raptors. And to sort of further this narrative further, we have some updates regarding the Toronto Raptors trade update regarding top stars, as news has come out that Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby, there are other unlikely possibilities that suffice. This is coming from an Athletic article saying that among them are Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby and potential trades. While league-wide interest remains high on both players, Raptors president of basketball operations Masai Ujiri has continued to rebuff many suitors. The farther you go down the list of potential ways to claim calm the Lillard waters, the more likely it seems he'll be forced to stay or go back. That's more a Blazers discussion. But basically, Masai Ujiri's continued to sort of fend off the people that are interested in trying to acquire OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam. He's looking for a Godfather offer, unless we're actually going to be a Godfather offer. We're going to give up Pascal Siakam or OG. Otherwise, we're going to end up keeping those two guys on the roster, which I am very happy with, especially as we continue to retool and restructure this team. So let me know what you guys think about all this Toronto Raptors news. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. I mean, if you made it this far, you're enjoying the content, it means the world to me to hit that sub button. Anyways, you guys are the best. I'm signing out. Cheers.